Isn't she something to see? Can you see where she gets the name barred owl? Because she has a barred pattern of feathers on her chest.
She's about as big as Shepherd.
Now, she is also a lot bigger looking than she really is. Because when I went in to get her and bring her out here, she's like, oh, I don't want anybody to touch me or show me to a crowd. I'm going to look bigger and fluffier to scare people away. So she fluffs up like that to be a little scarier. Now, because they live in woods near water and they don't build a nest of their own, they need a hollow cavity of a tree to nest in because they are a cavity nesting bird. They don't bring sticks, leaves, and feathers inside, and they eat crayfish, frogs, toads, birds up to the size of a crow, reptiles, and sometimes snakes included in that, and mammals up to the size of a squirrel. They are starting to pair back up at this time of year, and you may hear them calling. Owls and other birds call, whether it's to talk to their family, whether it's to find a mate, or it's to tell others in their neighborhood to stay away as a territorial thing. And so you may hear this call that I'm about to do for you at this time of year or throughout the year. Occasionally during the daytime, when the sun's getting ready to set, or on a cloudy day, they may be making this call as well. And if they're a young bird who's just recently left the nest, they haven't learned yet, oh, owls are only supposed to call at night for the most part, so they will sometimes call during the day. So here is what a barred owl sounds like. Put to the words, which we call mnemonics. Bird watchers often use these cues that are found in the field guide. For example, the chickadee gets its name from its call. It says chickadee, dee, 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 dee. The bobwhite quail whistles bob white. Sometimes they use a musical term. Like I said, the red-tailed hawk says keer going down a scale. Or they might even put musical terms to it. Well, the barred owl asks the question in a series of hoot. Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? So see if you can hear that word when I do the hoots for it. Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? Now, speaking of the sounds that you just heard, you hear them through your ears. The owl does too, but birds don't have an external earlobe like we do. Instead, it's an opening in the head, skin goes in like if we had no earlobe. What acts as their earlobe is the circle shapes on their face. The whole face together is called a facial disc, and each side it's got those circle-like shapes, which are the shape of a satellite dish, which is a parabola. And the sound waves come in, hit her face at the feathers on the beak in the center of her face, and get pushed back into that disc and sent to the ears. One ear is on this side, one ear is on this side, one is higher up, and one is lower down. Unlike us, with symmetrical ears, owls are asymmetrical. So they can tilt their head like this, and hear sounds coming from more than one angle, and they can home right in on where that noise is coming from at night because of that ability to tilt their head and have one ear higher up and one ear lower down. So it might be a mouse rustling in the leaves. They hear that sound coming to this ear, same thing coming to the higher up ear, and they tilt their head, and in their mind, they can see, oh, it's coming right from that spot there, and then fly down and grab it. Are there questions you would like to ask about the barred owl? All right, let's see, right there. Come over there next. Yes, right there.
How fast can they fly?
How fast they can fly? Not as fast as a hawk. So I would bet theirs is in the teens to 20s probably speed. All right, over here.
Some owls turn their eyes around.
They can turn their head around, but remember they don't have eye muscles, so they can't turn their eyeballs.
Think about their eyes.
Oh, well, you know, some birds of prey have a different color eye when they are young than when they are old. So they might start out with a more orangey redder eye and then get more of a yellow one as they get older. So maybe that's what you're thinking about. right here.
How long did it take you to learn the call?
How long
You're
did it
very
take me
good
to
at
learn
it.
the call? Okay, so my 3rd grade teacher is the reason I teach nature today, because Mrs. Martinez encouraged us to go on took us on field trips to wetlands and forests and nature centers, and so one of the nature centers had an owl in it. It was actually a barred owl, and I remember hearing it. Well, after Mrs. Martinez passed me on to the 4th grade and eventually made it to 8th grade, I started volunteering at a local nature center that had a barred owl. And I got to hear it, as well as the wild ones that lived in my backyard. And a place to practice these, my friends, so no one else can hear you, is when you're in the shower. Because the water's making noise, there's nobody in the bathroom with you at the time, and you got moisture to be able to make the sounds. So you can do it too, but if you're gonna do it outside, you don't wanna do it a lot to disturb the owl too much, because it is a territorial thing. But you're basically saying who, but you're pushing a lot of air from the inside out and making that in the words, who cooks for you, who cooks for you all. And you listen to recordings. Now, back in my day, it was cassette tapes first, until the CDs came out a few years later. But you just listen to them, and then you hear them in the wild, and you kind of practice doing that, because the Nature Center had a live one. I got a little more practice than most people hearing real live ones. All right, let's see, right here in the back with the heart.